Hey y'all, I'm gonna test out this microphone real quick whenever it pops up, if you guys don't mind just a second. This is being done on the fly, still working on some things here. See if that's working. Alright, looks like we're good. Welcome to Talkin' Dogs. Robbie Falk here from On 3 Sports. Um, and here in Ackerman, where things are pretty cold. I'm sure it's cold just about everywhere that you guys are tuning in. I'm sure there's a few of you that are in some remote locations like Florida or California or something maybe. But if you're in the state of Mississippi and likely somewhere in this immediate area in the south, whether it be Alabama, even Louisiana, some parts of Texas, you're freezing cold right now. It's really cold. 28 degrees, I think, was the high today. We had a little bit of ice, some snow. I know North Mississippi got a lot of snow in the Tennessee. We got a lot of ice here. We couldn't really go anywhere today. Hopefully we can get up tomorrow. I got to get to Sam Purcell's press conference. But I hope you guys have been safe. We had a wreck right across the street from us. Somebody coming across a curb or around the curb and flipped their car. So I really hope that you guys have been safe through all this winter weather. We're not really used to that around here. But a lot of stuff happening with Mississippi State basketball this past week. SEC basketball is full speed ahead right now. The men and the women both got off to a tough start, 0-3 combined in the league in the first week of action. And it was some frustrating losses. The women had a frustrating loss against Vanderbilt, a game that really felt like they could win that game. And then for the men, same thing. Went on the road to South Carolina. You felt like you could win that ball game against South Carolina. Women lost to number one South Carolina, but not really a huge deal there. But the men kind of left one hanging there. You had that opportunity against the Gamecocks. It's a Gamecocks team that's significantly better than they were last year, but it still was a game that was within your grasp and you weren't able to get. And that's kind of the frustrating thing about it is they just didn't play well in the second half. And this Mississippi State team that's a veteran club for the most part. Tolu Smith was playing in his first conference game, so that is something to consider. But at the same time, he looked like he was ready to go, and he had a decent game too. So it's hard to really blame him for anything. They just didn't play well in the second half, and that was a tough loss for them. So you have to come back against Tennessee, a top 5 team, and you looked at that stretch after that South Carolina game, and you said, man, they really need to get one of 2 games here against Alabama and Tennessee. It felt like Alabama was the more beatable team over Tennessee. Tennessee's been playing some really good basketball, blew out Ole Miss a few days prior to that game. And you came to that game, the fan base was still a little finicky. It didn't really seem like a hopping atmosphere right off the bat. Wasn't a great crowd, but State was playing really hard in that first half. They gave up 22 points, the lowest scored first half of the season for Tennessee. This is a Tennessee offense that can really fill it up with Dalton Connect and Vescovy and Zakar Ziegler, guys like that. This is a really, really good offense. State held them to 22 points. And they had a 13-point lead at halftime. You felt really, really good about your chances in the second half, but you also knew Tennessee was going to make that run. And they did make that run. 50 points in the second half for Tennessee. They scored 47 in the second half last year after scoring 23 in the first half. So this was almost an identical performance for Tennessee in this game, but Mississippi State played it out differently. The Bulldogs looked like they were kind of slipping there late in the ball game. Tennessee tied it up a couple of times. They had all the momentum. They'd outscored Mississippi State by, 10-plus points late in the ball game. And the Bulldogs just found a way. Tolu Smith gets a huge three-point play in the final 40-plus seconds, whatever, I think 35 seconds maybe. Tennessee gets the ball, tries to tie the ball game on a three-pointer. And just a great job defensively for Mississippi State. First, you made Ziegler put up a shot that wasn't a very high percentage three-point shot. And then Connect got a chance to take a three, and Deshaun Davis swipes the ball from him, gets it out to Cameron Matthews for the dunk. and the crowd goes wild. The first top 5 win for Mississippi State since 2002. Just unbelievable. It was a big time win for them. And then you got the Alabama game. You got a sellout. Everybody's excited. A lot of pressure on Mississippi State to mount some wins here because you got these quad one opportunities one by one in the first part of the schedule. And the Bulldogs just didn't do enough in this game. I think free throw shooting is the culprit. When you look at the free throw shooting and what they did, 15 of 27, I think, in the ball game. And the really frustrating thing about it all is you had made 11 straight free throws into the second half. Free throw shooting had gotten nailed down. And then the final 2.5 minutes, all of a sudden, you got all these missed free throws. 6 straight for the Bulldogs down the stretch in the final 2.5 minutes. Cost them the game. They had a chance to tie the ball game. Tolu Smith missed 2. Then you're down 4, I think, and you missed 2. And I think you were down 6 as well. So, tough. 82-74 is the final. Just can't quite get over the hump against Alabama. They did get a win a couple of years ago, but that's been a team that's kind of had their number in these ball games, and these games have been close. They've had their chances. Last year they had a chance to beat an Alabama team that was top 5, that had the potential of winning a national championship, had a chance to beat them at their place. They lost 66-63, and that was just a killer. Too many turnovers, missed free throws, some offensive rebounds here and there for Alabama. State just didn't play well enough. So now you're sitting here 12-4. You're 1-2 in the conference. Not a great start, but the Tennessee win really kind of saves you right now. You got your net around 34, I think, which is fine. Lost that game to Southern, and the Tennessee game kind of cancels it out, in my opinion. To get a quad one win like that against a top 10 team in the net was huge. And then Alabama was actually ranked higher than Tennessee in the net, so that doesn't really hurt you tremendously. Got another quad one chance here with Kentucky. Wednesday night, Lexington. Mississippi State has not won there since, I don't know, 07 maybe. I'm trying to think back. 08, 09, one of those years was the last time. It was late 2000s. It's been a long time, but it was a long time since they beat Tennessee, so you never know. When State plays defense the way they play defense, they got a chance in these games. So big opportunity coming up on Wednesday, the 4th straight quad one chance for Mississippi State. They've got one of them. It'd be nice to get another one here. Real quick for the women before we get into questions and comments, the women's team started off 0-2. We mentioned the Vanderbilt loss that they had. They lost to South Carolina. But I thought in the South Carolina game, they really showed some toughness in that ball game. They lost by 19, and it kind of got away from them, but actually had a lead in the first half. It was relatively close in the first half as well, and just really kind of got away from them. They were down by 10 at the half, and in the third quarter, it really started to push out, and State just couldn't sustain in that ball game. But everybody's going to struggle just about the South Carolina this year, so I didn't really take a whole lot from that other than State played relatively hard. Go to Arkansas. It's a must-win, basically, at Arkansas. Arkansas, not great this year, but they had just beaten Georgia by 40 points. This is a team that on any given night, they can beat South Carolina, they can beat LSU, they can beat anyone in this league, in the country, because of what they do from the three-point line. Their plan is throw up as many threes as possible, hope they go in. There's been some games where they've beaten some really good teams. There's been some games they've lost to some bad teams. And on this night, they missed a ton of shots. And it really saved Mississippi State because State didn't play particularly well on the offensive side of the ball. State shot 38% from the field and 14% from three. They were 2 for 14. Bulldogs not shooting the three extremely well in that first 3-game stretch. And it allowed Arkansas to kind of stay in the ball game. Arkansas shot an incredible 38. I can't believe they had shot like 20-something three-pointers in the first half. That's just their game. They were 10 for 38. Made 10 three-pointers, but you shot 26%. And it kept them in the ball game, but it also kept them out of the ball game, strangely. 31% from the field, just wasn't very good as far as shooting. I thought Jessica Carter was the difference in this ball game. Jessica Carter had 22 points and 19 rebounds. She had 5 points, I think, in the fourth quarter. If I remember correctly, she had 6 rebounds. She had a huge block shot as Arkansas was trying to tie the ball game late in the game. She basically won in the ball game. 22 points, an SEC career high 19 rebounds in 31 minutes. She had 14 points combined in the first 2 SEC ball games with, what did she have? 16 rebounds, I think. So in this game alone, she had more points and rebounds than she did in the first 2 SEC games. She is the difference for Mississippi State. Absolutely the difference. So they follow up that 66-63 win. They go up against an Ole Miss team that is a terrible matchup for what they do because Ole Miss is just so tough. Mississippi State, a lot of times teams get aggressive on them, run some full court pressure. They sometimes they tend to fold a little bit. I'm just going to be honest. There's been times where they've done that. They did not do that in this game. It's like Ole Miss brought something out of this team that they haven't shown all the time. Mississippi State has not always been the toughest team on the court. In this game, they absolutely were, especially in the fourth quarter. I thought the fourth quarter was one of the best quarters of basketball that this team has played under Sam Purcell. They were down by 2 going into the fourth, and Ole Miss had outscored the Bulldogs in the third quarter to get that lead back. And State gave up 6 points the entire quarter, did not give up a point in the final 5.5 minutes. Didn't give up one made field goal. Ole Miss was 1 for 12 in the fourth quarter. State outscored them 20-6. Again, Jessica Carter led the charge. Aaron Barnum, the 2 post players. To me, the 2 post players are the key for Mississippi State. If they're going to win a lot of games in this league, Jessica Carter and Aaron Barnum have got to be really, really good. Jacayla Jordan is usually going to bring it week in and week out. Ole Miss did a great job kind of eliminating her in this game. She only had 2 made field goals, had 8 points. So when she's moved out of the way, you got to have some other players step up. And Jessica Carter did, 23 points. Miracle Shepard had 8 points off the bench. Thought she was huge. Lauren Park Lane had 8 assists. I think 13 points, 13 points. Had just 2 turnovers. So really good play outside of Jacayla Jordan when she wasn't having her best night. Some players stepped up, and Mississippi State gets a big win. This is Purcell's first win over Ole Miss. Ole Miss had kind of taken back over this series a little bit. And that was what was so key, was kind of gaining that momentum back, and I thought State did that. So big win there for the Bulldogs, and now they got a huge win on Thursday hosting Tennessee. Tennessee's kind of teetering a little bit. This is a must-win for them. Rakia Jackson's coming back to Starkville, and they've got to have a win. This is a team that's on the verge of missing the NCAA tournament for the first time ever. Ever. They have never missed the NCAA tournament. They got a chance to do that this year if they continue to lose ball games. They didn't have a good non-conference slate. They just got beat the other night. So this is going to be gut check time for them. It's gut check time for Mississippi State. You got a chance now to get back over 500. You got 2 more tough games after this in Florida and LSU. And say you win Tennessee, say you win 1 or 2 out of Florida and LSU, you're sitting in really good shape at 4-3 in the first part of the schedule, and then a very manageable back half. Mississippi State's in good shape if they're able to get out of this with 2 wins out of the next 3. Even if they don't, I think they'll be okay, but you really need to kind of keep the momentum going, and this is going to be a big one to do that. Tennessee's a tough matchup, but the Bulldogs have the players that they can compete in this game. All right, so with that said, we will get to your questions, your comments. Don't forget to put those in the chat box over on the right side, and we'll do this until we finish. So let's get to that. Dirty 808, any update on Taylor and Murphy? Didn't see neither on the bench. Yeah, Keyshawn Murphy, Andrew Taylor, 2 guys coming off the bench for the Bulldogs this season. Andrew Taylor has not been with the team for several weeks. Let me go see when the last time was. He didn't come back after Christmas, I believe. And still on the roster. Been disappointing. He was supposed to be a big time transfer for the Bulldogs, and he's really kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. I mean, no offense to him, and I know he's going through some things, but his season high was 9 points in 14 minutes against North Alabama. Had 2 games where he didn't score. His last game was against Murray State. Had 3 points in that game on a 3-pointer. Has not played since. He's played in 7 games for Mississippi State and averaged 4 points. That's not the guy that you wanted. That's not the guy that you picked up, and he has not returned since. I don't know if he's taking part in classes. I don't know if he's planning on coming back. I have my doubts, but right now it doesn't look good for him. As far as Keyshawn is concerned, I've heard more promising things on him, but he's kind of taken a step back too, and I think he's gotten a little upset with playing time, and I get it. Had 5 minutes against South Carolina, and I know that didn't sit well with him, but he had really kind of started to come along after coming out of his injury, and I thought, had 18 points against North Texas off the bench, and then just kind of 2 points against Rutgers, 2 points against Bethune-Cookman, 4 against South Carolina. He's averaging, around the same minutes as he did last year, but he has not been happy with those. So we'll see. I know that I've heard that he's had some people back home that have been talking to him that he's not very happy or shouldn't be happy with his minutes. I think that has something to do with it. But they are actively working to get him back. They need him. They need that kind of talent coming off the bench. They just don't have a lot of depth there. So it's really important for State to get him back. I think he would be huge for them down the stretch, and we'll see if he's signing up for it. Jay in Baltimore with his patented baseball question. Hey, we're like 29, 30 days away from baseball. I'm for it. Love the baseball pod that we did on Thunder and Lightning. D1 just released their top 25 with 8 SEC schools, but no State or Ole Miss. How did we get here? Man, that's the $10 million question. I don't know what's happened to these 2 programs, but this is kind of it for both coaches. They have got to get it together this year. Their jobs are very much in jeopardy. And I think that for Mississippi State, it boils down to, can they come out and fix some things on the mound? And they don't have to be the best, pitching team in the conference. They don't even have to be middle of the pack, really. They just need to be a lot better than they were last year, which is asking a lot, and at the same time, it's not. My number's been 5 runs. Can they cut that earned run average down to 5, which would be middle of the pack? So I guess I'm kind of talking against myself there, but can they do that? If they can do that, I think this can be a really good team. I think they're going to defend really well. I think they're going to hit really well. They got a really good lineup. I think the pieces are there on the mound. It's really going to boil down to, can Justin Parker get the best out of this team this year, or at least just improve them a fairly good bit from what they were last year, which was the worst pitching performance that this school's ever seen. That's kind of the goal this year. Find me. Have we played since the Vols? I've been away from the phone. Well, yeah, they played Alabama. We mentioned that one. Dirty 808, any updates on Goni? Yeah, Naonga Goni was out of her boot the other day. I asked Sam Purcell after the press conference where she was with her rehab, when she could return. He said he didn't know. So, we'll try to get an update on that tomorrow to kind of see where she is. But it's got to be getting close. She's out of the boot. She was running around a little bit. Was actually dressed out the other night. So, we'll see what happens. She would be huge for State from as far as a defensive presence off the bench with that size. I'd be excited to see her back out on the court. Jay, which player makes the biggest jump this year for the Diamond Dogs? That's a good question. I think the biggest candidate probably is Connor Hijack. Don't you think? He was a guy that last year was a reserve, showed some good things when he got in there, but just didn't get a whole lot of reps. Well, now you have a huge summer like he had, and I know it wasn't the greatest competition that he was playing against, but he had a great summer. Batted 238 last year, started 6 games, and pulling up his numbers. Had 10 hits and 42 at bats, 3 doubles, 2 home runs. So half of his hits were extra base hits. With 9 RBI, had a 452 slugging percentage, of 277 OBP. So those are numbers that could really grow for him this year if he is a guy that's starting a lot. And I think that's got a possibility to come to fruition. He looks like a guy that's a front runner for that center field position. So he's my pick. Dirty 808 talking about Jessica Carter. Inside post moves with a jumper. Aaron Barnum played better also. Miracle was my favorite. I really enjoy watching Miracle play. She's fun to watch. I really hope the fans of our team try to not to make it out about Rakia. That's old news. Yeah, it's that's kind of water under the bridge. Last year was a little more of a story. Hadn't really been talked about as much this year, but still notable. I mean, she's gonna be inspired coming in here and playing. And had a really big game against State last year too. She's played really well. She's done really well there, but the results for Tennessee have just been stunning. I mean, they've got a really good team. You got Rakia Jackson. You got Jillian Hollingshead, who I think is a really talented player. It's been really strange to see them. Tamari Key's back. It's been really strange to kind of see them not reach their potential, and they didn't do it under Holly Warlick either. I don't get it. Got all the talent in the world, they just haven't been able to put it together since Coach Summit left. Drew C., what do you think about Sam Purcell in the transfer portal this offseason? He'll attack it hard. I mean, we just have to see what their needs are. But that's going to be a prominent part of their team because they're going to be losing Jessica Carter and Aaron Barnum and Lauren Park Lane. And, we'll see on Jacayla Jordan. I know they're going to try to get her back, but we'll see. I think Gabe Lazo is going to get a head coaching job this offseason, or one of the assistants is going to get a head coaching job. Maybe so. He's definitely a guy that's moving up the ranks for sure. I think he's close. Dirty, Murphy would be averaging 15, 20 points per game anywhere else, and he shouldn't be happy, and Jansi's playing. Maybe so, but, I don't really know what to tell you because Cam Matthews is kind of in that spot and can't play center. I mean, I don't know who he would replace. He should be getting more minutes, I think, and they could do a better job of that, but it's kind of, just bad luck for him. He's just not better than those guys right now. Deshaun, Murphy has to shoot the 3. He could be another Eric Holman if he was able to have the confidence on the floor. Yeah, he's very skilled. That's for sure. Bellfire, do you have any interesting MSU transfer portal nuggets for us? Not right now, man. It's just been so quiet. I don't really understand the strategy on the defensive side. I think the offense has been great. Wide receivers, you got your quarterback, offensive line. Looks like you've gotten almost a whole new offensive line out of the portal. It's been really good. I just don't know what's going on in defense. They're either not getting guys to campus, or they're not recruiting guys, or they're recruiting the wrong guys. They got some spots to fill, especially in the secondary, and they just haven't been able to get the guys there that's going to help you, especially at cornerback. I don't know what they're going to do at cornerback. Stone Blanton's been a good pickup for them, but they really need another linebacker. They don't have an edge guy. The defensive linemen they picked up are not impact players. So I wish I had some good nuggets for you, but I just don't. Dirty Tennessee head coach is gone if they don't make the tourney or lose after a game. Yeah, she's in trouble. That's for sure. Drew, which SEC women's hoops coaches are gone at the end of the season? Um, I think Kelly Harper's job is definitely on the line. I'm trying to think who else is kind of on the hot seat. I know that, you know, before the season, a lot of talk around Johnny Harris from the Auburn side of things, but she's really making some progress there. It would be a disservice to her if John Cohen makes that move. Just beat number 7, LSU. Was in the game at Ole Miss, should have won that ball game. Played Tennessee extremely hard. That's a tough team, and it would suck if they got rid of her if she's making that kind of progress. But that was a place that I would say, year 3 for her. She really needs to win this year, get them in the postseason. So she's probably one of those, just knowing, John Cohen's thoughts on it. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody else that's really on the hot seat. Do you think Sam Purcell will reach out to Tamika Reed to join the staff? I don't know. I like Tamika a lot. That would be a really good hire if they could get her. Dirty, I hear Tomlin's coming back for 2024. Ugh. I'm sure he is. He's going to have to retire here. The Steelers are definitely not going to make a change. That's just not their thing. But I'm ready for something new, man. I'm just tired of the same old stuff with the Steelers. It's gotten so old and mundane. I mean, this team has not won a playoff game since 2016, and I realize there's people like Detroit who they hadn't won a playoff game until the other day for 32 years, I think, most of my lifetime. So, I mean, that kind of sounds a little spoiled, but that's a lot. That's a lot of time with some good players where you have not been able to win a game, and I've grown tired. Who's playing for the NFC AFC Championship games? I think Baltimore and probably the Bills in the AFC. NFC, I still like the 49ers a lot. I like Detroit a lot. So, I don't know. I think that's still up for grabs. Jay, love the Connor Hijack pick, but you've got Ross Highfield for the guy making the biggest improvement. People expect a lot from him as a freshman, and he was pretty dang good. I could see that. He needs to be better receiving than he was last year, and I think he will be. So that could be a major jump for him. What'd he do? 19 pass balls. I mean, that was just too much. But you were asking a lot of him as a true freshman, and I agree with you. I think he's going to be a lot better. Drew C. Kyra Elsie, yeah, you're right. That's probably a good choice as far as Kentucky's concerned. She's definitely on the hot seat. Golf official, any update on the facility upgrades? Still waiting. There was talk that there was going to be some kind of master plan released this month. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There just hasn't been a whole lot of information coming out that way, and I think that has a lot to do with Zach Selman kind of keeping a lot of things under wraps. He does not let stuff get out, so I think that's probably a lot of it. But I do believe that we will see something relatively soon on Davis Wade Stadium, some facility upgrades they want to do there. Obviously, there's those upgrades they want to make on the west side, and there's a few other places across campus that they're going to want to improve. Softball's taken care of. They just did a softball facility upgrade there. Tennis has a new facility, so that's kind of taken care of. It looks like basketball's taken care of for a while. Baseball, obviously. So football is like back in the focus now. There's a few things you might could do with volleyball, but football's priority number one right now. You got to think about what you're doing in the end zone. You got to think about other upgrades you want to make as far as premium seating. So that's kind of where they are right now. C. Lee, I'm cautiously optimistic about baseball this season. There's adequate talent on the pitching staff. It just needs to be developed. Foxhall was good at analytics recruiting, wasn't at mechanics. Yeah, they got the talent, I think. Drew C., the next phase upgrade of the basketball facility. Can you tell us what that's about? There was supposed to be some internal things. I don't know if that's still on or what, but there were some things, locker rooms, some stuff in, the back under the tunnel, things like that. I don't know if they're still doing that. It was supposed to be a two-phase deal. So I don't know. I'll have to ask about that. I don't know about coaches' offices either. See, Lee Highfield's issues throwing runners out is due to pitchers' inability to hold runners on base. Could be. But also, still just a true freshman. He had 7 stolen bases, or 7 runners thrown out, so did have a few good moments last year. Jay, I respect your dislike of the Ravens, being a true Steelers fan, but I'm obviously on board with Lamar and company living in Baltimore. What do they need to do to win it all this year? Lamar's going to have to play really great, and he's kind of the key to everything. You got one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league. He's just got to be playing his best. Can't make a lot of mistakes. Quarterback play is so huge, especially in the playoffs, and we saw it. It was the difference in the game, really, between when you're talking about the Steelers the other day and the Bills. That's the difference in the ball game. Josh Allen is a great, dynamic quarterback, and the Steelers just didn't have that. So I think that was kind of the difference. And I thought Mason Rudolph played well, but early in the game did not play well, and the guys around him didn't play well, and that definitely hurt him, and he's not as dynamic as Josh Allen. Quarterback play is so big. So they got to do that, and the defense has got to be big in that as well. And it probably is going to come down to those two teams, if I had to guess. Drew C., how are we with NIL deals and big companies? I don't know. I don't know of any big-time deals right now. I mean, obviously they had the deal with Xavier Thomas with Google, and he kind of forfeited that when he left. I don't know if he picks it back up with LSU or what, but that's the only big company deal that I know about. Everything else is just kind of done with the Bulldog Initiative. Dirty. I don't know why Dak and the boys can't get it done in the playoffs. That game was uncalled for. It's just a Cowboys thing, man. It's been happening for a long time. I mean, we got to go back to 1995, I guess, the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, and haven't had a whole lot of playoff wins since then either. So that's kind of been a Cowboys thing, and I know a lot of people have blamed it on Dak. He's the face of the program, the franchise, because he is the quarterback, and the quarterback answers for just about everything. But it's a Cowboys thing. It's transcended quarterbacks and coaches and everything. They just haven't been able to get it done since 1995, and we're coming up on 30 years. So that to me is kind of the biggest thing. They just got to find a way to break that curse. Anybody else? Take a few more questions if you guys got them. If not, that's fine. Coming up this week, I think we talked about a little bit. Mississippi State on the road at Kentucky. Saturday, men. Saturday at home against Vanderbilt. For the women, they are playing Tennessee on Thursday night, and then they go next week. They will go to, or is it Sunday? Let me bring it up. Monday they play in Gainesville at Florida, and then the next Monday they got LSU. Huge 3-game stretch here. Hayden Hughes, what are your thoughts on the Alabama football staff? I think it's a good staff. There's a lot of good faces in there. They just picked up Maurice Mo Linguist, who was at Mississippi State, of course. Ryan Grubb, really good offensive coordinator. You got a great defensive coordinator in Kane Womack, who you got to pull away from a head coaching position at South Alabama, which he was doing a really good job at, by the way. You got 2 head coaches in Division I that you pulled to your staff. You got one of the best offensive coordinators in the game right now. So it's a good staff on paper, plus some of the guys they've retained. So it's pretty good. We'll see if they're able to put it into action. Owen Hines, do you think State will land Caleb Cunningham? I do. I feel good about State's chances with Caleb currently. Something would have to drastically change, I think, for him not to sign with Mississippi State. I like where Mississippi State sits. Great relationship with Chad Bumpus, with his parents, with him. They're Mississippi State people. He wants to be close to home. It's 30 minutes away. So, it would be quite a shock if he wasn't able or Mississippi State wasn't able to land him. All right, y'all. We'll cut it off there. Good talk again. We have a lot going on. So I want to remind you guys to come check us out at On 3. Just started over there at the beginning of the month, and we've had a great outpouring of support from you guys to come over and subscribe and see what we got going on there. Got a great message board. Paul Jones doing an excellent job with our recruiting. And then Paul and I tag teaming men's and women's basketball. I'm helping them out a little bit too on men's basketball. Tanner Marler is doing a great job with us as well, interning with us, and he's done an outstanding job helping us out with basketball so far, and even with some recruiting. So I hope you guys come check us out. We got a $1 deal for the first month. I would really appreciate it if you guys come check us out. And if you don't like it, cancel, and that's fine. We tried. But I guarantee you are going to be hooked. You're going to love the message board community. You're going to love the information that you get every day in recruiting from Paul Jones that you get nowhere else. And you're going to love our team coverage. So I implore you guys to come check us out, give us a chance, and let us know what you think from there. Make sure you're listening to Thunder and Lightning. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to this channel. And I appreciate the support that you guys give myself, our website, and everything that we're doing out there. So thank you again. Hope you guys have a great, safe week. And we'll catch you down the road. If I can end this.